And here's the coldest of cold truths and the harsh reality. And some of you may not like this, but I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And what you need to hear is, so as much as I've been wrong, and if you've been watching the channel, you know I've been wrong a lot in the past couple of days, there was one, and I mean only one thing I was right about, and that was the Clemson Tigers. Well, I was actually wrong on picking the game itself. I did pick Clemson to win, but what I'm referring to is the past couple of years, I've been right about Dabo Swinney. And I've even had Clemson fans agree with me. I remember saying this last year. Dabo Swinney is washed up and he is stuck in 2017. I don't know what it is. He won't adapt with the modern times and modern era college football, and he's going to, and now he has been left behind. I started saying that about 2.5 years ago, and last year's when a lot of other people started to agree with me, including Clemson fans. That's when, at least for me myself, I knew it was getting bad, when Clemson fans were noticing this. I thought about going back and find the videos where I stated Dabo Swinney's washed up and he's no longer an elite head coach, but if you've been watching the channel, you've known I've been saying that for years. And it's so weird, guys, because only a couple years ago when we talked about the top 2 head coaches in all college football, there was no debate. It was Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. That's it. Fast forward time to today, Dabo Swinney's not even close to the conversation. It's now Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. It's been so bad the past couple of years, I think if you were to tell somebody, hey, I think Dabo Swinney is the second best college football coach in the country, people wouldn't even take you serious. I wouldn't. And I don't want to make this a Nick Saban video, but this is yet again another reason why Nick Saban is the greatest of all time. What Nick Saban has done at Alabama is almost dang near impossible. Because more times than not, what is currently happening to Dabo Swinney in this little stint where he's fallen off and losing some games here and there, this happens to every single great college football coach. It is very rare, and I'm talking about so rare for a college football coach to do what Nick Saban has done the past 15 years. To have Alabama always in contention, to have Alabama as the gold standard for even longer than 10 years, dang near impossible. And that's the word I'm going to use. It is impossible almost. It's surreal, man, because we've seen head coaches do it a couple of years, be really successful for 4 or 5 years, but then they fizzle out. Here's the last thing I'm going to say about Saban, though, and we're going to get a move on. What made him and what currently makes him so good? Unlike Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, he puts his pride and ego aside and he adapts with the modern times. I'm going to remind some of y'all, remember in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012? Alabama did not pass the ball out. They were a run-heavy offense. When you thought of Alabama football from 2007 to 2013 until 2014 when Kevin got there, you thought of defense and the two-headed monster running backs. But then what happened? Nick Saban knew around 2014 the game was changing. So what did he do? He's like, dang, man, I don't really want to change my ways, but I think I got to. And he did it. He went out and hired Lane Kiffin, and everybody thought it was the stupidest hire of all time. Nick Saban rehabilitated, and saved Kiffin's career. That happened in 2014, 2015, and the rest is history. What happens recently in the past couple of years? They bring in the transfer portal and the NIL. So what does Nick Saban do? Same thing. He wasn't a fan of the transfer portal. He wasn't even a fan of the NIL. But he still uses it. You know why? Because he understands he's got to, or he's going to be left behind and he's going to be a dinosaur. Guys, that's the problem with all this. Dabo Swinney is a dinosaur. And maybe this is why I've always had this weird feeling about him. There's just something about him where I can't like him. And when I say I don't like him, it doesn't mean I hate him. I don't have a problem with him. I just don't like him. There's just something that seems off. I don't know what it is. I wish I could tell you what it is. I don't know. I just don't get good vibes from him. But getting back on track here, I'm not here to talk about his personality. I'm here to talk about his football coaching abilities. And most recently, his coaching abilities haven't been very good, and we'll leave it at that. I think that's more than, well, that's really sugarcoating it, to be honest. That's more than fair to say. It's being pitiful and it's been embarrassing. Remember when he first got to Clemson, they had this saying called Clemsoning? What is Clemsoning? It's when you're supposed to beat a team like Duke, but you don't. Clemsoning is when you're a big favorite and you lose a game you should win. It is as plain and as simple as that. And well, what do you know? Maybe we need to bring that phrase back. Now here's what we really need to talk about. The past 2 years, who did the media, who did we blame? We gave Dabo Swinney a pass. We did. We said, hey, he's got 2 national championships. He knows what he's doing. Who did we blame? Not on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball for the offensive struggles. Who did we blame? The offensive coordinator and DJ Ugabadoogie. That's who we did, and I'll be the first to tell you, I blame DJ Ugabadoogie. But I also remember stating last year, I was like, maybe it's not Ugabadoogie's fault. maybe it's Dabo's fault. I didn't say back then it was solely Dabo's fault, but I was like, maybe we need to start talking about him. Because eventually, at a certain point in time, and I said this in my live reaction last night, we got to go to the head honcho, the CEO. We got to go to the source. And after watching last night's game against Duke, I found the source of the problem. It wasn't DJ Ugabadoogie, wasn't offensive coordinator. It's Dabo Swinney. That's it. That's all there is to it, and you can't tell me otherwise. And I feel bad for being harsh on Uliongule because it was Dabo's fault all along. So to DJ, I'm sorry, I really am, because maybe we should have been a little softer on you, and I think I should have as well. But it's in the past year at Oregon State, and I think Oregon State might potentially have a better year than Clemson, but we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves with that. Like I was saying, though, we need to point the finger at Dabo Swinney. On the video we posted last night, the live reaction, check out this comment. We're going to read off a couple of comments from Clemson fans. Or at least what I assume some Clemson fans. But we got some Clemson comments we're going to check out. Matt, this Clemson team is very undisciplined and was very unprepared. Defense on the field pretty much the whole game. Wide receivers can't get separation. K looked traumatized half the game. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll speak on that in just a second. Garrett Riley refused to push the ball down the field. This team needs a portal and recovery center immediately. Wow, what a great comment. Great comment. Hold on. Clap it up. Clap it up. That was a really good comment. The part I like about this the most, and I meant to speak on last night, I just completely forgot. Yeah, Cade Klubnik did look out of sorts. And I was very shocked by that because I thought with him being the undisputed starting quarterback, the captain of the team, he'd be confident. But he looked like a deer in headlights out there at times. I don't know what it was. Let me know if y'all noticed that as well. Cade Klubnik did not look comfortable. And also, did y'all see where Dabo Swinney tried to give Cade Klubnik a high five and he just completely ignored him? What about that? What's going on at Clemson, man? That was concerning to me because Cade Klubnik definitely saw him trying to give him a high five. Another comment right here. Clemson going to regret not using the portal. It's FSU's conference to lose now. Oh, yeah. No. I think there's no shot that anybody even competes with FSU for that title. At this point in time, I'd be shocked if Florida State doesn't beat Clemson by 28 points. Oh, here we go. We got a Clemson fan right here. As a Clemson fan, this was the hardest game to watch in a while. Had such high hopes for the season, and we went out there and laid a fat egg. Not excited to play FSU in a few weeks, and trust me, I wouldn't be either after that performance. And there's many more comments I could read. I'd love to read off all of them, but we got a good move on. I think this one sums it up the best. As a Clemson fan, I have no words. I feel you, brother. I do. Very similar feeling I had when Clemson, you guys blew us, Alabama, out into a Tagovailoa in that championship game. What was the final score? Wasn't it 44-16? I had no words. Because you expect to go out there and at bare minimum play a competitive ball game, and that wasn't the case. So I definitely relate to you from that standpoint. There's nothing even to say about this. For the game itself, like I said in my live reaction, you just got outplayed. It's as simple as that. You were awful. We're not even here to talk about the game. I'm here to talk about Dabo Swinney and this Clemson team and program and the current state of the team and program. And here's the coldest of cold truths and the harsh reality. And some of you may not like this, but I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And what you need to hear is Clemson is no longer a championship contender. Their window has officially closed. It is what it is. It's reality. You had a good run, but your run's over. Even last year when I talked about the blue bloods in college football, and most people didn't even bring up Clemson in that conversation. When I think of the top teams in college football that can actually win a championship, I think of teams like Little Bro Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, USC, and I know I'm missing a couple others. Who else am I missing? I'm missing one team. Oh, yeah, a team like maybe potentially Tennessee or Florida State, teams like that. But Clemson, as a top team in college football, competing for championships and winning them? No, it's history. It's over with. Your run's over. And as to where you go from here, I have no idea. You're in a very tough and sticky situation because Dabo Swinney has won not one, but 2 national championships. He won't ever be fired unless he goes 6-6 this year, and the next year 7-5, and the next year 8-4. He's not gonna be fired, and I don't see them going 7-5 or 8-4. And honestly, it'd be better off if he did have terrible years the next couple of years. That way, you could have a reason to fire him. But realistically, what I think is going to happen is this year, next year, year after, you're going to go 9-3, 10-2. Never going to be good enough to actually compete for a championship, but you're always going to win enough games where you can't justify firing him, if that makes sense. Your time's up, Clemson fans, and I feel bad for y'all. I have a lot of empathy for you because I couldn't imagine how frustrating it was to watch that game. And it's not frustrating because you lost. It's frustrating because Your offense has been terrible the past 2 years. And you were told the reason it was quote-unquote bad is because the offensive coordinator and the quarterback situation with DJ Ugabaduki. But now they leave. You got your 5-star quarterback, and then you got the new offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley, who is supposed to be the best hire in the offseason. You go out there in the first game, and realistically, you shouldn't even scored 7 points. You got gifted 7 points. That's what's frustrating to me. You can't figure out the offensive side of the ball. I'm wishing you all the best of luck. I don't think your season is completely over. I think you can turn it around, but this isn't a championship contending team. Not even close. You got a long way to go, and last year I was close to pushing the panic button, and after week 1, if I'm not already pushing it, my finger's right on it. We'll have to see what happens. We'll see. I'm curious to see how they bounce back. Because in life, remember guys, not just in college football, but in your everyday life, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. Because I do want to throw in there, take some positives out of this. They did move the ball, just a lot of costly turnovers and bad timely turnovers. You got to fix that, but Dabo Swinney, yeah, he's in the past. He's a dinosaur. He never adapted. Maybe one day he'll come to his senses and adapt, but for now, he's sticking to his old ways, and it's not going to work. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But